Mr. Mike, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Welcome back, folks. Rudy, with my friend, state your name for the record?
Michael Waddell.
Dr. Michael Waddell.
Just Michael Waddell.
We got Rudy Scary Arms, and we have the upper management here with us.
Yes. Fifi.
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 Princess Fiona if you're feeling fancy.
Anyway, so we're going to let the camera run. We're going to talk about everything and just relax.
Great.
It's going to be a long video for anyone. We may edit it, do whatever. Are you comfortable? Can we turn your chair or anything?
No, I'm fine.
So, anyways, I just want to start off by saying, Mike, thanks for coming and joining me in Florida.
Thank you for having me. It's
Staying at the guest house, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we got some awesome box openings we're going to do, and we have one Kickstarter. One lonely Kickstarter box over here we're going to do. Pretty cool stuff. Are you surprised what's going on? Honestly, there's no way you predicted this. Like, you can't, there's no way.
So, you put in the work, right? And the work is good, right? But so much of it is luck, so much of it is you haven't checked out your email at the proper time, or me being on and charismatic enough on a certain phone call, and having like a good day with that. So there's so many different factors that play into it that things could have gone wrong easily, right? Pokemon could have been having a dip, or collectibles could have been having a dip when I decided to release.
We did have a dip in May when the crypto, everything dropped.
Yeah, and then, thankfully with first edition, we came out really strong, but yeah, I mean, I am surprised that my well-structured plan happened the way that I anticipated.
I was like, there's no way you can honestly tell me.
There are too many factors.
There's no way. And like, I called you when we had that crash after May of all the cards, of all the collectibles. And I remember telling you, like, I was concerned about even selling like the promotional Rudy kit, because the market was just so bad.
Yeah.
Like Pokemon prices were 40%. The Flesh and Blood Monarch, everything dropped. And I was just like, are you sure?
Yeah.
And yeah, you were like, just leave it alone, let it go.
Well, because I was looking at the Kickstarter product and
How much was the Kickstarter at the time?
So I think it peaked at like $2,500.
$2,500 a box at the time.
At the time, and then it dipped below 2,000, which was better than what the industry was doing as a whole. So we were kind of performing better relative to our peers, which for a new product was
1,000 a box is still pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it dipped right below 2,000, and so I don't, obviously as the head of the company, we don't play with the secondary market at all. But I do use it as a gauge of how healthy the interest is and what products are doing well. And so I was surprised to see other collectibles dip much lower than that as a percentage of the price that they were before the dip.
Okay.
But so, and MetaZoo actually was sustained better than a lot of other products. But yeah, I was definitely worried, and I'm glad that things plateaued and started to get better ahead of actual release of first edition.
And do you think that's, I don't know, I guess you just think because people like the product? Or do you think the hype? I mean, what? I still don't understand. How did this go from a Kickstarter? And the Kickstarter box were $50.
Yeah.
And now, I don't understand how it went from that to today. Like, I don't understand that timeline of what you did or what happened. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand what behind the scenes, I don't get it.
I mean, obviously, you were a huge help with that, not just with...
I mean, I appreciate it, but I didn't do all that.
Well, I mean, also the advice on, phone calls and stuff like that. So I did have a lot of help. So really great staff. And the community as a whole was super supportive, right? So we have a really big, a fairly large core fan base of like 10,000 people, let's say. And they're the ones that are going out there, they're making content, they're making, fan art, they're bringing their friends and their family in. And that is what I think sustained kind of this excitement, which is true love of the product, right? And I think that the people who are invested purely for investment purposes, which is fine. I think you can interact with collectibles in multiple ways, right? You can like it for the art, you can like it for the money, you can like it for the gameplay, right?
Right. Yeah.
I think that they see that core fan base and the love that they have for the brand, and that's what they're betting on, and that's, or at least that's what my hope, right, is, and I think that because that core is so strong, we're here for a long time, and I think that the prices are reflective of that that passion that people have for the MetaZoo product.
Do you think most of them are actually like players or collectors?
I think the majority of them are going to be collectors, and I think with the world opening up, we're going to start developing hopefully a much larger player base. And then, of course, you have the people who love this stuff purely for kind of the excitement that they get from investing in it, but that's part of the hobby as well, right?
It is. It reminds me of. It's definitely on the Pokemon level where most people don't play Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like there was a study a while back ago where some people genuinely think like less than 5% of people who buy Pokemon play Pokemon. Like it's really low. And people just like the cards, the art, the culture, and the things about it. And
Culture,
I mean,
yeah.
I feel like that's what's happening with this. People are obsessed with the cryptids and the characters, and people like that family-friendly niche.
People like the story, right?
See, I don't know anything about the story. I just know there's cryptids, and I know they're located around the U.S. right now on this set. That's all.
Yeah. So I mean, like the story that we're telling, that's going to be kind of the center part of the IP, is what I'm writing. But I meant more the community loves the MetaZoo story, as in the story of us being a Kickstarter and kind of pulling ourselves up from our bootstraps and making something of ourselves during COVID.
A lot of people still, I get emails from the public that still think like this is like a scam, doesn't exist. I do. Some of the stuff is nuts. I don't.
There are way easier ways of making quick money than creating your own like trading card game and the whole ecosystem that we're setting up. If this were a cash grab, I would have stayed in finance, right?
Does everybody know where you worked or where you came from? Did you ever talk about it?
In a few interviews, right? So, before MetaZoo, I was very much in tech and in finance at places like Goldman Sachs. I was also doing graduate level research in courses at Columbia. So, for me, like my options are, quite a few, but I wanted to create a TCG and I want it to be the thing that I work on for the rest of my life. And so I'm privileged that things worked out the way that they have, and I hope that I can show anyone that has doubts about the longevity or about my interest in that longevity that I'm here for the long haul.
Where'd you come up with the name?
So I was driving to Florida actually from New York City in I think like May 2020, right? So right as COVID was really picking up, and we're like, we want to go, like we can't be in this little sardine apartment in New York City, so we're going to go to a place in Florida, right? And just to kind of like spend the summer in a place where we could breathe and have, we could move about in like a backyard, right? And we just got in Fifi, so a New York apartment's very small.
It was like, how many square feet is this apartment?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, let's not even.
All right.
And so, we were driving, and I was like, I've been calling it Magicast for a few years.
You call it what?
Magicast, which could also already be like a game.
Magic, MAGICAST.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's already like.
Where'd you come up with that?
Magic and casting, so I just like truncated it and combined it.
It's almost the same amount of letters.
Yeah. So it's the MetaZoo, Magic Cast. So Meta, I knew that I wanted for years. I've been building like the fourth wall aspect of it, where I was like, I want the game to break the fourth wall, especially for cryptids, which are supposed to exist in the world. I was like, it made sense that the world interacted with the game as well. And for me, like, so we played around with like fourth wall was being like the name, or some weird stuff like that, or Meta or CryptoZoo or something like that. But cryptocurrency is it's much more like well known than like cryptid, right?
So people will be like, "Oh, is this like cryptocurrency? Like, what is it?" So Meta, which is in like the TCG world, kind of, or any collectible, it's kind of like the stuff surrounding the game itself, not necessarily the mechanics, but kind of the culture, community, was like a fitting word. And then zoo, because we have more than just cryptids, we have, we're gonna have yokai, we're gonna have mythological creatures. So it's not so much just cryptids; it's like a zoo of multiple types of creatures and from all over the world. So MetaZoo.
So that's literally how you came up with it.
Yeah, it was a 4-hour conversation that may have gotten a little heated in the car.
In the car.
As I was driving.
Okay.
She was like, Jesse was like, I don't want like it to be a made up name.
Jesse's your girlfriend, right?
Jesse's my girlfriend. Okay. Yeah.
That's Fifi, not the dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Fifi and
she does talk, and it's quite loud, but Fifi, not Jesse, but yeah. So she looks calm right now, but Fifi spent like 20 minutes barking at Rudy, because she barks at everyone. But we got her calm. Yeah. So yeah, no. So
I'm just shocked by the whole thing. Like,
yeah.
I just can't like people compare it to a Flesh and Blood 2.0. Flesh and Blood came out and didn't go up, didn't do anything, was rejected and kind of made fun of. I couldn't a lot of product didn't sell when it came out in the beginning of 2019, and then about about a year into it, after the third set released, all of a sudden it got traction, and then Channel Fireball and investors and everybody jumped in and went, like everything went fast. MetaZoo didn't have that. Like, this is the first, like, the Kickstarter is 2,500 boxes. First edition's 25,000.
Yeah.
And, these just came out and just went straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Are you surprised? Like, how do you feel about that? Like, is that what you thought was going to happen?
I knew that the demand. So, none of this has been artificial scarcity, right? What a lot of people don't recognize is you have to put in orders for product months in advance for the printers, right? And so in March, Kickstarter took off, and people were interested.
How long was the Kickstarter? How long was the window for people to pledge or sign up?
So it was last August, so a year ago.
And then how long did it take when you put it on Kickstarter to when it was either funded or ended? It
was a month, yeah.
So it's 30 days.
30 days, we had 255 backers, which is not a lot. We raised
not much.
18.25K, which is nothing.
18 grand?
Yeah. So a lot of this was paid for.
So wait, you can't print.
Yeah.
Wait, you can't print a whole thing for 18 grand.
So a lot of it was funded by myself.
Oh, okay.
So I have like capital costs.
So you borrowed money.
No. So we never borrowed money.
Okay.
This was just savings that I had.
Okay. You used your own money.
I used my own money, which is not uncommon with startups, right? But yeah, no. MetaZoo has zero debt and has never had any debt, which is great, because we're beholden to nobody. But it released finally in March 2021. So like a decent amount of time after the Kickstarter finished, right? Because we had to deal with like Chinese New Year's and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so when people were super interested in the Kickstarter product and it sold out, I was like, in March, I put in the order for first edition, which was going to release in July 30th. I was like, certainly 10 times as much is going to be enough to like save the demand. Right?
So when you went from 2,500 to 25,000,
it was a decision made in March.
March of 2021.
Yeah.
And you thought, were you worried that was too much?
Yes. And in fact, people were like, the brand is destroyed now. Like, there's no collectability. It's way overprinted. So I allocated everything personally, right? I worked with Golden Distribution and with Channel Fireball, so I knew how much product was allocated, which was 100%. So they sold out basically, right? And I knew that we had hundreds, if not over 1,000 stores that were on the wait list.
So wait a minute. So 25,000 boxes you thought was too much, and you was no way you're going to sell it, but you did that even number.
Yep.
And then once you disclose that, did you disclose that number to the public immediately?
Yeah. So one of the things that I was like, people were like, how much you can print? Because keep in mind,
Okay. So okay.
when I put in this order, there were 400 people in the Discord.
How many people are in the Discord now?
Closer to, I think, like 4,000
In a Discord.
in a Discord. Yeah.
I've never really looked. Is it just like scrolling like crazy?
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts in a good way. Like the community is super healthy. We have like a great moderating team. We have staff there. We have the artists there. Anyways, but so I was literally chatting with people, and every time someone new would pop in, like we greet them individually, like hey, welcome. Like so it was that small. And so I was like, yeah, I think like 10 times is a good like number of. For like first edition print run, people were like, yeah, like you're gonna have a lot of inventory, left over and all that good stuff. And I was like, all right, cool. So the Kickstarter continues to take off, as in the product is going up in the secondary market, and people are talking, and Channel Fireball reaches out, a few other people reach out, you and I start having discussions, and so it just starts to snowball.
I told you I was skeptical at first.
Oh yeah.
I told you I'm optimistic. I think my exact, what am I saying?
Cautiously optimistic.
I was cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. Because you were like, the flesh and blood thing will never happen again. This was.
I did. I said
it
was a black swan.
Black swan, right?
I did.
And I was like, you have to believe in your product, right, in order to work the hardest on it, right? So I was thinking to myself, Rudy, I respect his opinion, but man, like I think this thing's going to take off, right?
You did say that, and you did.
And so I know what's going on behind the scenes, where I was like, there's only 25,000 booster boxes. People are going to be angry because they're not going to be able to get the boxes.
But I thought you said the Kickstarter people said the game was ruined because you print 25,000.
Flash forward. 2 months. Flash forward. Fashion forward. Flash forward 2 months, and I have people I have stores, Rudy, you know this, who are like, give me 5,000 boxes.
Oh yeah, of course.
And
I've asked you for that.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so 5,000 boxes constitutes 20% of print run, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
5,000.
Yeah,
20%,
5,000.
yeah.
Whew.
All right, Goldman.
Goldman
Let's
Sachs.
go, Goldman.
That's
why he's selling cards.
I know. Yeah, jeez. So, and it's like, so the answer is no, but like we will have a second edition, hopefully, if all things go well, where we will be able to allocate numbers like that via our distributor partners, and which is a non-answer, which is basically saying you're not going to get that, right? You're not going to get 20% of the allocation. Because
20% of the print run.
The print run, right? Because for me, it was like, I wanted this to be in as many physical retail places as possible, so that if the prices do increase, it's justified. It's not one or two people who are like holding back inventory and backdooring it. Like I wanted it to be at least 200 stores that were selling to people.
I don't know if anybody's really holding a lot.
So that's the thing. And so the price movements that I've seen are much more natural.
When we did ours, just so the public knows, when we set up to do the 1,000 kits, we weren't sure if it was all going to sell.
Yeah.
And just so everybody knows, Mike had even told me I didn't have to pay him for it until after we ran the sale, in case I had to return or wasn't going to sell or something. At the time, and this is something people I don't think.
And he said no to that. He's like, absolutely not. Like, well,
I did say no. Same thing. Well, same thing. Look, you either believe in it or you don't.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take the problem. That's what happened with Flesh and Blood. That's what happens with any of the card games I've done. If you don't believe in it, don't do it. And I was like, even if we sell 500, 600, 700 of the 1,000 kits, I'll just keep you the couple hundred. Not a big deal. I had no idea. I think I texted you. It said all the kits are gone in 19 minutes.
19 minutes. Yep.
And that was. And there has to be a wait list of at least 1,000 people. At least.
At
least.
And people are asking me if I have kits, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
I think I saw the Rudy promo for the first time today.
Yes, I showed him the Rudy card in person. So Mike's never seen. Do I have one around here somewhere? I actually do not.
Yeah.
He never. I guess he never sees them in person. He orders it and they do it, and then it never. I guess is shipped to you first for logistic reasons.
Yeah, I mean, because our timetables were so tight, right? Like you got the product from the warehouse.
It was tight.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you're like, Michael, we're gonna have to push back the
Yeah.
the kit
You,
date.
you really did not want to push it back. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm still missing items in the kit.
Yeah.
And it's the day before.
But it all worked out, thankfully. We lit the proper
The
fires.
day before.
It all worked out.
I said, Rudy, run the sale. I'm like, I don't have the items. It'll be there the day before.
Yeah.
No prep. Like,
We were both working our butts off.
oh my
So that's
god.
And yeah, this is it. Like with the exception of a few, dings here and there, it was.
Yeah, I mean, in some of the boxes we're going to open, yeah, there are, you can see, but it's not.
Cosmetics.
Some of them,
Yeah.
it has that smushy kind of. But I don't think anyone's reported that the cards or the packs were damaged.
Correct. Yeah.
I have not
I've
heard
seen-
any of that.
Yeah. And
I've heard, obviously they look like this.
Yeah.
They have like the crease and the pressure or impact. But again, the seals are intact and the cards appear fine, even if there is,
and we added a little space in the box specifically for that. We added space in the booster packs for that, just so that they're a bit more resilient. So it is what it is. We're gonna do better on it next time, clearly. And no one's clamoring to return the product. Surprisingly.
I had a lot of patrons contact me, and some saying, "Well, I was hoping that some of the items were damaged or one of them or something," and kind of questioned and say, "Hey, can I send back 3 items to replace?" And I was like, "Look, if you want to return it, I'll give you a refund."
Yeah.
But I mean, I can't piece out for some. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, that was our policy too. Like, we'll refund what we can't replace because it's
Yeah, if you want to send the whole thing back, give your money back. And after that, I've had 0 people return it. I had about 30, 40 people contact about returning.
Yeah.
But then, of course, the price on the bundle from $4.99. What is it? I've heard right now it's about $2,000.
Yeah.
And
Which is actually, I mean, I really like the mat. So. And I like
the mat is actually, I think, like $100, $150.
Yeah, people like
It's the card.
It's the card, I think. Yeah.
It's the card. What it is. It's very. And again, my suggestion, I don't know if you're okay with that to say it, but my suggestion moving forward was every release or launch, we have like a version of Rudy aging or changing or something,
Getting more and more slouched over.
or more curved,
Yeah.
more curved over. Something to do where it like continues like a collection series of that. That was my idea to pitch to you.
And it can be like the aging man, like from baby to.
Yes, because you did the Bigfoot, so it's like the arms and doing that,
Yeah.
and it can just be more curved over each time.
So you're devolving as opposed to
Yes,
like,
and
evolving.
then like the space set, what's it called? The space one you want to do?
UFO.
The UFO one, I could be like hovering,
Yeah,
something
we do
silly,
something like that.
just something fun like that. And obviously the Alpha Street Bets thing was the best with the GameStop in the 2021.
Yeah.
I thought that was.
We worked hard on figuring out like what.
I saw some of the earlier versions. It was like blue, and then some were black.
Some of it was black and then different art, and one of you, so it was the blue one. I actually went through and I changed it to red. So so you actually have the original art, I think.
Because I think the original art is blue and white.
It's blue and white.
If I recall, yeah.
And then I went in and with Photoshop. I still work on all the cards myself.
Okay.
How
How many people are behind the scenes?
So-
if you don't mind me asking. Well, how many people were originally? Just you?
So we had volunteers originally. CT Renko, Brian Moriel, who were like phenomenal when it came to helping me get the cards ready for the printers. Right.
Okay.
And so now we actually have a whole dedicated team. We have a whole dedicated team making the cards, and they're all paid now, of course. And we have about 30 people who are actively playtesting and coming up with like rulings by actually. So like for Nightfall, so for this set, I programmed a website that allowed people to comment on the cards, like suggested changes, right?
Okay.
And we had maybe 300 people who were involved with that, but they weren't actually playing it, right? For Nightfall, we have about 30 metazoologists who are like our professors or judges who are actually playing it on Tabletop Simulator and have been for like the past 6 to 8 weeks.
Really?
Just really fine tuning it.
The last 2 months?
Yeah.
So the next set, there's a bunch of people knowledgeable in that field just testing the next set.
Yeah. Because I mean, like for me, even though
Wow.
so people think
Okay.
people think that like, which actually, by the way, I think is more than a lot of our peers. Just saying.
Are we gonna name names?
No, I'm just saying, like,
Well, if you make a new product every 30 days, how can you test it a lot?
yeah. So that being said, people look at the product and they look at all the collectability that is baked into it, and they're like, "There's no way that this stuff is play tested, like, or that you don't take the gameplay mechanics."
I hear that a lot. I hear people saying they judge the MetaZoo because the cards have that 90s watercolor type of style. The brain assumes that there's not testing and like professionals running it.
Which is
They're
crazy.
judging it based on the art, and they're just assuming it's just, I don't know, I mean,
It's because people
Oh.
silo it. They say there's Pokemon and there's Magic. One is gameplay focused,
They
and
do.
one is collectability focused.
they do.
And they view them as mutually exclusive as a result of that.
They do.
There's no reason why you can't
That is true.
There's no reason why you can't combine them. Now there is a reason why combining them is difficult from a product perspective, because if the game is too collectible, it's going to be hard for players to get their hands on.
Well, that's
it,
the point of first edition in Unlimited, right?
Yeah, exactly. So they're always, they're going to be people who have never played the game, and they say, "I've never played the game. I haven't even read the cards, but this game is unplayable." And it's like, what are you talking about?
Oh, I get messages all the time
What are you talking? How does it make sense?
that people tell me I shouldn't even sell the product. That's a mistake doing it because the whole thing's a scam. It's going to fall apart. It's international money laundering. It's a crypto money thing. It's a pump and dump. I don't want to miss any. I think that's it. Do I get them all? I think that's it. But no, I don't. And sometimes, usually I ignore it, but sometimes I ask people just, have you bought a box? Have you opened it? Have you tried playing it? Have you tried collecting it? Have you actually read the cards or looked at it?
By the way, anyone watching this right now, if you want to play this game, we're on Tabletop Simulator. You can buy Tabletop Simulator for $20. There are hundreds of games on it. So is MetaZoo. Play the game. We have active games going on in Discord all the time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And Unlimited's going to come out.
Yeah, so we're calling
Right.
it second edition because
Okay, is it actually going to say second edition?
it's going to say second edition on it. Because there will be, even though the print run is going to be larger, there will be new collectible features that are part of it just to make it unique, right, from the first edition product.
Wait. So the second edition is going to have new cards or special
variants, yeah. So this is the first time I'm saying it, but in this one, the box toppers are alternative art for the auras that are hollow.
Okay.
For the second edition, it's going to be alternative Terra. So Terra is our fourth wall cards. So it'll just be something new, and it'll be a new box topper. But
Well, see, that's interesting. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I just said that's because that's going to still make unique desirables for the non-first edition.
Yeah.
Like Flesh and Blood doesn't do that. Back in the day, Pokemon, when they had their first edition in the late 90s, when they made Pokemon Base Unlimited and Jungle Unlimited or Fossil Unlimited, there was no difference. They literally just removed the symbol or fixed any typos.
And there are multiple print runs within that unlimited, but
there's unlimited this, a shadowless this,
Yeah.
a variant this. There's all kinds of dark print, light print. There's all kinds of crap.
Yeah. But for me, it's kind of like,
Okay.
even though I'm printing second edition, maybe even third edition, for the players, right? There will be collectors who want to collect those variants, right? And so why not distinguish them? And why not make it something that they can chase? And so again,
That's never been done.
yeah. So
Usually Unlimited or second printing is just designed to be super cheap, nothing special, to play the game, keep the prices low, so people can buy the boxes for MSRP of $99.
yeah,
And they don't have to worry about, what are these now? 6, 5? No, I heard it collapsed, right? Because they were 6. Now they're
they're
5.30.
yeah,
So it's MetaZoo's done.
yeah.
Okay. You're down 10% from your high. Burn it off.
So yeah, I think it's between 5 and 6.
Okay.
And you know, it's never been done, and there are reasons why it's risky. But I think
That's a little risky because that means that there's going to be certain variations that are not in the elusive Kickstarter or first edition.
correct, and it'll make something that collectors will seek out in second edition. But that also means that there are things in first edition that you don't have in second edition, in a good way, right?
Is this the plan for every set going forward?
It's something we're going to try out. We're going to pivot if necessary, but I think it's something that, with our new distribution network and our distributor partners,
are people aware of the distribution? Does everybody know which distributor is that out there?
yeah, it's out there. So yeah, we're with Peach State Hobby Distribution.
So PhD Games, they're
PhD
headquartered in Florida, and they have offices all over the country. Like they have literally, they got Chicago, Texas, California, Georgia. They got 6, 7 warehouses all over.
And we're also partnered with their South American distributor partner as well. I'm not sure.
So there's going to be MetaZoo out of the country.
In Brazil. Yeah.
In Brazil. I didn't know
In
that.
Central America. And then we're with Channel Fireball, of course. Golden Distribution. And that's our U.S. distribution. And then in Canada, we're with Universal.
Yeah.
And
Canada, isn't Universal in Canada? Is that the only choice?
there's also Prince. So Prince is the Flesh and Blood exclusive. So
In Canada.
we opted to go with Universal. Just because we have the illustrated story that we're distributing, and Universal distributes all of DC and Marvel, so they have connections with comic book stores and stuff.
Okay.
So that was purely like, you know, Prince and Universal have fantastic people. We went with Universal because they're fantastic, but they also have that comic book connection.
Is there going to be? This is considered a base set.
Yeah.
So are there going to be a base set too, or like how Magic has core sets and then expansions around the core sets? You know what I'm trying to say? Or is every set after this just going to be an expansion like Nightfall or UFOs or snowy wilderness type or Antarctica stuff? Is everything just going to be an expansion?
So we're looking at it in blocks. So it's going to be a block of sets. So this is the Cryptid Nation block, and this is the base set for Cryptid Nation. And so Nightfall, Wilderness, UFO, so on and so forth will all be in this block, which will be US centric. And then we're going to go from the US or Cryptid Nation to what we're calling Yokai Island, which will be Asian cryptids or yokai.
And how many sets do you want per block?
Between around 5 is the ideal.
And how many releases per year?
We're targeting 3.
Every 4 months? See, I thought that's a sweet spot.
Yeah.
And do you plan on like specialty things in between releases?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean we're releasing
from the vault.
No. So it's going to be mostly like corporate sponsorships, right? So think pins, think figurines.
Okay.
Think we're gonna have a Topps release in September.
I want to know about this Topps thing. I don't know how much is public. I've heard people chatter. Some people say MetaZoo's gonna be ruined because Mike wants to do some Topps thing. I just want to know: is there gonna be are there gonna be numbered 1 of 10 Rudy cards in Topps? Are we gonna have redemption autograph cards in Pat? Like what's going on?
So
like what is this whole Topps thing? If you want to get into it.
Yeah, so I can talk about it peripherally, right? It's basically going to be. I'm a huge fan of what Topps did with Pokemon back in the early 2000s, where they had series, right?
I don't know if a lot of people know about that.
Yeah, there's so
outside of the card game. I don't know if people realize there were like non-card game Pokemon cards.
Yeah, I mean, so Topps and Panini are kind of before they are the premier collectible card game.
Okay.
Not even games, collectible cards. So think like sports. Think mostly sports. So whenever you see a baseball card, it's most likely made by Topps or Panini, right? Or same thing with the NBA, same thing with football, so on and so forth, right? But 20 years ago, they worked with Pokemon because Pokemon back then created these corporate partnerships when they first came to the US. to make the product suited for American, audiences. And Topps released a series of Pokemon sets, the most popular of which is Topps Chrome. And those boxes now are incredibly expensive. They're incredibly sought after. And I loved them because they were like, if you had like baseball cards, but for Pokemon.
Okay.
And so I reached out to Topps and I was like, I really want to do something similar, but I want to take the past 20 years of product development and bake it into this Topps series. So yeah, we are going to have numbered cards. We are going to have.
Wait, hold on. It's not right. So there's going to be like really special cards that are going to be numbered
that are purely meant for collectability.
So these aren't the game cards. These are just like really cool, like, because in the 90s, for people who don't know, before CCGs and card games, the most popular thing was like Marvel cards were huge in the 90s. Sports card, I know, boom and bust, Beanie Babies, boom and bust them. But, most trading cards and packs of cards in the 80s and 90s were on everything. And they were just people trading cards and collecting. And then like Marvel started with all these insert, subset, alternate, foil, chromium, see-through cards and all hologram. They call them holo cards back then.
Because they actually were. Like,
they actually were like the old. They were like all silver holographic. They aged terribly. Like they would fall apart. And
it's like they look like you're looking through like murky water.
Oh yeah, now it's like you're just looking out of a river or something. Yeah. There's just a bunch of trash and you can't make anything out. But yeah, I don't know. So I remember. And even now, I think Marvel even still makes like new high-end regular boxes.
They do, with Skybox and a bunch
Isn't there like Marvel Metal or Masterpieces? Don't they still make them? And they're really like there's like
they're super expensive because
but have you ever seen the box openings?
They're beautiful cards.
They have like these they take the artist and do sketch autograph 1 of 10, 1 of 1. But they're amazing.
If you look at what's happening in the Japanese market, card quality is skyrocketing.
Yeah,
it's
even sports cards.
So that's what I'm saying. In the U.S., we're seeing that same quality in the sports cards region of the industry, right?
Yeah.
And so what I'm interested in is with Topps, we're going to make a super, super premium product that's meant for collectors. And the MetaZoo community is super stoked for it. The people who are fans of...
Do people get pissed at you when they found that out?
Oh, gosh. We had people who...
Selling all my cards! They're garbage!
They said literally, like, I can't... Like, because a lot of people aren't fans of Topps, because Topps sells product.
Topps has a shaky reputation, though, for how they sell and ban people. They are very...
Oh, for sure.
They have a very controversial reputation.
That being said, they are super interested in kind of like testing how the MetaZoo market is. And since the announcement, Rudy, I'm telling you, like, so many people in the sports card industry, and there's a lot of money in the sports card industry.
I will tell you, I personally don't buy, or I don't have distributor access. Yeah. I don't do sports cards. I don't have a sports card shop where I can build a relationship with Topps or Upper Deck. I don't do any of that, but I can tell you, I do quietly watch some of these box breaks on sports cards that these people do with briefcases and these special boxes, and there's one pack and there's like a stack of thick cards and there's these books and redemptions.
Like Blue Box TV does.
Yes, I watch. Yeah, real fun people, hilarious stuff, and they're always like, "Let's go!" and they yell at us, and everything's worth some ridiculous price. And
they're all Prism cards.
Everything's this is $20 grand. It's $30 on eBay, whatever. But it's fun to watch. And man, some of those cards they pull,
so beautiful.
The detail.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll have these things. There's cleats and shoes in the card, jerseys. They have diamonds.
Each one's like handcrafted.
Oh, right? It's like a sculpture.
So So all that being said,
wait, is there sculpture MetaZoo cards coming? Like, do I get a piece of an animal in the card? Well, that'd be like, you wouldn't want to hurt an animal.
No.
But then, I was like, is there gonna be like fake pieces of I don't know, how? All right.
So for me, the Topps is important because it's a benchmark of pedigree, right? Because we're the first IP, I think, with the exception of Garbage Pail Kids, and someone's going to correct me on this.
Garbage Pail's been around a long time.
It's been for a long time, but we're like around 20 years. We're really the first one that they're like, okay, let's do this, right? Let's make a non-sports type thing, right? And so it's gonna be really cool. It's gonna have numbered cards. It's gonna have first capture cards where it's like a Polaroid and it's kind of like a photo of the cryptid, kind of like, and it's gonna be really cool. It's gonna have creator cards, and you know, what I'm really excited about though is I have a lot of people who are NFL, NBA, NHL athletes who reach out. They're huge fans of MetaZoo. And I'm
Can
like,
you give me names? Do you know the name drops in this thing, or is it privacy?
I mean, you know, they're pretty public like characters. So, but like, you know, if you're in the TCG world, you know, like Blake Martinez, like Cassius Marsh. But they reach out and they're, you know, Blake really likes MetaZoo, or I hope he does. You know, him and I have some great discussions. But what I'm interested in doing is, you know, think kind of like a set where it's a sports card set, but the athletes choose their favorite cryptid, MetaZoo cryptid, and they appear on card with the athlete. So you could have like a Blake Martinez card with like Mothman behind him.
Oh my god,
Or interacting.
That's crazy.
And I think that, you know, people go crazy for it because it's kind of like a Looney Tunes, Space Jam kind of collaboration.
That was a big thing in the 90s.
Yeah. So, okay.
Is she sleeping?
She's snoring.
She's snoring?
Yeah.
She's like, both of you are boring and you suck.
She had a big day. Yeah. So, you know.
So there's no actual like secret hidden crossover to the actual game.
No, and the reason why is because to the extent that I can, where the collectability and playability shouldn't interact is where, not to name names, but let's say that you have a certain type of resource card that is essential for gameplay, but it doesn't appear in a core set for years.
A dual land.
Or, you know,
reserve list,
fetch land, something like that, right? Where, you know,
whoa, you're name dropping some dangerous stuff here, Mike.
Well, I don't know, like.
I expect a cryptid that can fetch. Only a magic fetch land.
Yeah, so obviously you don't want the rarity, and you don't want to introduce artificial rarity to something that's essential for gameplay, right? So
that's something a lot of creators in CCG struggle with, where to make the deck you must have. Like in those in Flesh and Blood, the fabled cards are not really played much.
Yep.
And that's intentional.
And that being said, what I found is in our theme decks we include the Chaos Crystal as a non-hollow.
Is that? I think there was there a Chaos, or is that Chaos Orb? There was
No, you have a sample Chaos Crystal there.
This guy.
Yeah. So that's a sample Chaos Crystal. Only 100 of those exist.
How many?
100. Yeah. And but here's the thing. Here's the crazy thing. I think I included 2 in each Steam deck, maybe. Right? Doesn't matter. And it's not hollow. It doesn't impact the collectability of the hollow version at all. No one says this hollow Chaos Crystal is useless because it's included as a non-hollow in the theme deck. And so it's that weird balance where it's so collectible, but it's also so playable, where people want it in their decks, they need it in their decks, but because there's this other rarity of it that's beautiful and highly sought after, that it's like, you know.
I like that concept, so you can get a cheap version, but you don't have to have the fancy follow. And while you're on that topic, so these things that you have here, can you explain these?
Yeah. So these are something that I, call it what you want. I think it's probably the coolest part of, or for me, it's the most nostalgic. These are the sample decks. So there are only 100 of each of these. There are 100 non-hollow and 100 hollow. And yeah, I mean, these are something that I promised you months and months ago to test out, right?
Right.
As a sample card.
Never got them.
Till
today. These are supposed to be something I was going to look at and like feel the cards and try them.
Like literally sample them. And if you've been with MetaZoo for the past year, I sent these out for free to people. I couldn't get people to sign up for them.
You told me about them months ago, and I keep telling you, just send them over so I can look at the cards. And apparently, so now this is a big thing.
It's a big thing now. As most things that people don't take, there's a special class of collectibles where people don't take it seriously at first, and they either discard them or they they don't take care of them, and so that when more and more people join the hobby and they're like, oh, these things are fairly rare or they're special, the story behind them is special, I want them, right? But all of a sudden, tens of thousands of people want them, but they're only in the hands of the 400 people who,
You gave these to distributors, and did you send them out to try to get people to carry the game?
I did, yeah, and with zero exceptions, or with one exception, Golden being the exception. Last year, no one was interested. So there are. I thought I ordered too many of these things,
and you ordered 100 of each.
100 of each, and I have some excess of them. That I've opened up, and I have 2 complete sets just for me that I sleeved the moment that I got them, because I was like, these are special for me personally. But I couldn't send them out. I couldn't find people to take these things for free.
And there's 96 cards in each. They're both the same.
So each pair is the same, right? So there are, I think, 40 non-hollow cards here that are the same in every non-hollow pack or deck, right?
I'm getting confused again. So inside of here is 96 cards.
I think so. There are 96 cards between here and here.
Okay, so there's 48.
Something like that. I think there might be more hollows than non-hollows, or they might be exactly the same.
I
don't know, man.
Do you know?
I don't know.
Who runs this company?
I know.
Fifi. Who runs? Does she know?
Oh no.
She's like, don't ask questions.
Don't ask
leave me
questions. She can never
alone. I was like, so inside of each one is 48, approximately. And each of these cards are different. These are not all the same.
Correct.
And the same 48 cards and the same 48 cards.
Correct.
Even though the top card is different, it's just different order.
Yeah. So this will have all hollow cards. This will have all non-hollow.
But they're the same cards.
No. So this will. So okay. So I
don't want to open it now. It's so rare. I didn't know it was this big of a deal.
So there are, let's say, to make the math easy, 50 hollow cards in the sample set.
Okay.
Right? They're all unique designs.
Okay.
All 50 are included in here.
Okay.
So when I open this up, I can open up 100 of these,
Okay.
and I'll have 100 of each copy of card. I'll
Okay.
have 100 copies of each card.
Okay.
Same thing with the non-hollow.
All right. I think
all,
I got it.
Each brick of hollow cards is the same. Each brick of non-hollow is the same.
And when you got these samples, were you happy with how they turned out?
No, I was. They're way too glossy for my liking, so I told.
Well, the cards, MetaZoo cards, have more of a plasticky feel.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't have that cardboard kind of more matte finish. They have more of a plastic.
So we're gonna open up the first edition, and
So another
that
video
has that cardboard feel.
The Kickstarter.
No, the first edition does.
Okay, so the Kickstarter has the plasticky.
More plasticky.
The first edition has the normal card feel.
Exactly. Yeah, and so it took us essentially 3 prints to get the level of gloss.
Okay. And then the second edition is going to feel the same, identical as the first edition.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then the expansion.
Pretty much the same, yeah. So my goal was to get to consistency, so long as that consistency is as high quality as I like.
And when you sent out, most of these things were sent out.
Yeah.
How many do you have left?
I think I have 5 of each left.
And the ones you sent out to stores, distributors, or promotion people, did most people just throw them away? Did they keep them? Did they even like it? What happened?
I also sent packs out to people for free, like people who just signed up, right? And I think it capped out at 400 before they arrived, and I sent them out and I closed it. And I still have people finding ways to find this spreadsheet, and they're like, "Can I sign up for sample cards?" Or people who are like, "Can I sign up for the $600 tier on Kickstarter and get 6 boxes for?"
Now, of course, yeah.
I'm like, no.
Well, I mean, you don't have more. There's not. You can't just get another 2,500 Kickstarter buy. It doesn't.
Yeah.
That defeats the purpose.
Yeah, and even if I had a Kickstarter product left to give out. I wouldn't sell it. I'd give it out to people for free, right?
How much do you think is left?
That people haven't opened,
Is it? I mean,
probably like 500.
because I know everyone I know who I remember getting Kickstarter boxes, even open boosters on his channel. Like he opened them.
So I think
Like most of it's
probably fewer than 500 are left.
it's not very much.
And I know. So I was,
What about the first edition?
So there's a good way of tracking that, right? 100 of the secret rare ready. Between 100 and 200. The number, because of what's on the print sheet, is a bit more than 50. I know that about 20 to 25 have been found.
So
Publicly.
people have publicly either shown it or listed it for sale or something.
So multiply that by 2, and I think that gives you a good percentage of what's been opened. Just because you can assume that some people open it up and don't post about it.
Because I was going to say, even the 1,000 pagers who bought the kits, most of them have opened it because they sent me pictures. A good chunk of them flipped them on eBay. You can see the whole kit. They said Rudy kit, they'll flip them, that's fine. But most people have actually opened the boxes and the kits. And, I don't know, like you said, the things that turn out the best are the ones that nobody thought would be worth anything.
Right.
Which is probably why these things became such a, I'm assuming, what can I type in on eBay? What, MetaZoo test black border cards?
Sample cards.
Sample cards? And I'm assuming there's a bunch on there? Individual cards?
People are scooping them up. So, there'll be days where they're all bought out by somebody or some people's. But yeah, there's pretty much always 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 that are being bid on actively.
Because this would technically be the original alpha printing. Kickstarter would be really the first booster box, and then the first edition. So in order of events, that would be how it works, right?
Yeah.
And then second edition. And these are the only thing with black borders.
There are Halloween cards from 2020 with black borders, but then those are the last ones.
Are you making more Halloween cards for this Halloween?
Yeah.
Are they going to have black borders?
No. They're not red borders.
No, they're gonna...
Yeah. Well, they're going to be reprints of last year's, and then we're going to have new ones for this year as well.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's crazy stuff. Like I tell everyone thinks you plan this huge money expansion grab, it was going to go this way. And I don't think people realize that this was almost, I don't want to call it a lightning in a bottle situation, but...
We have that card too. It's called Lightning in a Bottle. So maybe it was an intention. Yeah, I think it was a meeting of a bunch of things that happened.
You think 2020 helped or hurt?
Some people think all right, it's a card game that's meant to be played outside and in person and fourth wall effects, but then obviously you have the macro effect of collectibles just skyrocketing, right? And people collecting
everything.
Yeah.
Junk things that were never worth anything.
And that's why when people were when the dip happened, I had so many, told you soers being now that the market is a bear market, let's see how good the first edition product does.
That's exactly what people said with Magic, Flesh and Blood, MetaZoo. They said it with Weiss, the Pokemon box, the Bubble Burst. Let's see who makes it through the smoke.
Yeah. And so when within a week, when the prices had risen there and people were contacting me and every day that wait list grows, more and more. And it's not just people who are excited about the prices, it's stores that are I really want to play the game. I have people coming in. I've seen photos and videos of lines of people who are there not to buy boxes, but to play MetaZoo. And so people are excited, and stores are getting excited, and I just want to give them more product, and I want to give them more types of product too. People want hoodies, people want plushies, and they want everything.
This feels more of a cultural phenomenon than it does an aggressive tournament building serious game. The family friendliness and the culture, and like Lindsay said, it feels like I could see kids having MetaZoo birthday parties.
Yeah.
With outfits and cakes and the animals and the different toys and props, and I feel like that's definitely, the brand could be built with all these things. And I know we got a Q&A, we'll do another video
Yeah.
of all kinds. These are the top things I took from all the top thumbs up most voted for questions.
Oh gosh.
And it's got all kinds. Some of it's hilarious. Like there's a question that asks me if you're actually a cat. People want to know if you're a cat. People want to know, like, you know, how do you feel about stores charging above MSRP? When is the next set coming? Why, you know, why do most people make fun of you? There's nothing. You know, are you going to do crossovers? Are you going to have a cartoon show? Are you going to have events? How long do you think till you go bankrupt? Are you seriously not a cat? I mean, there's a lot of, you know, is it true no one plays this game? You know, blah, blah, blah. Is there going to be more Rudy cards? What, are you going to ban people? Are you going to go after store? I mean, there's everything.
Let's do it.
Whatever you got. We'll do that for another video later and everything after we eat and all that stuff. But it's interesting. It's almost like we're in this time where people, if something doesn't fail,
Yeah.
people think it's a scam, or there's some literally, if you open this drawer, the wall turns around and there's like this secret Wizard of Oz shit going on, you know?
Yeah.
Like if people expect it to be like something news breaking scam to happen.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it is what it is.
It is.
Only, like, you know, I said this, I keep saying this, time will show that this is something that is here to stay. And you won't know it until it happens. I will say we're past the 1 year mark when the first Kickstarter released. Even though, you know, we technically released the Kickstarter product this March.
Yeah.
We've been out in the public doing things for over a year now. At some point, the people who say that it's just a quick get rich quick money scheme, whatever you want to call it, like, when do they stop saying that? After year 2, 3, 4, 5?
I think the nasty reality is that, honestly, Mike, most people want you to fail. If you want an honest opinion, from being on YouTube in 6 years,
In general, I mean, like,
in general, the people on the internet, whether it's because their situation is just shitty, or their situation is turbulent, or they're unhappy, or maybe the price is too high and they try to buy it and something happened.
Yeah.
The reality is they want you to fail. You know, and I don't know why our culture is that way, but it is.
Sorry,
You know.
1 second.
Make sure the camera's still going.
Yeah.
That would suck if it wasn't.
Oh,
It is. Holy crap, this is an hour long.
I'm gonna take this.
Yep.